versus a band apart.
Welcome back to Alliance Tournament 15. We're going to be bringing you V0lta versus a band apart. My name is V0lta. I am joined by Elise Randolph. Elise, this is shaping up to be a cool game indeed. We have from V0lta, we've got the Hugin at the center of the arena and leaving the Oneros at the back of the stack. And a band apart looking to bring in all their ships right on top of each other.
Yeah, Band Apart and Blue have brought, an Eos, Oneros, Hugin, Myrmidon, double Ishtar, double Vexor, and they opted for twin Blackbirds here. This might be why the Band Apart banned the Scimitar and the Rabisu, so they can skew these Blackbird jammers for Galente Caldari, which would mean that the V0lta Oneros might be jammed quite often here if that works out for them. But the Mystical Might in his Hugin on the V0lta team, interesting that it came in at 0. It kind of speaks to the fact that V0lta really want to get after the Band Apart Oneros very early on, and this positioning will allow them to get webs and paints on that Oneros very quickly.
Yeah, getting enemy Logi off the field can be a huge game changer because that is so important as the game goes on. We do see the match has started. Boosts have gone out right now. Looks like the initial webs going on the enemy Hugin right now, along with Jams. Jams also on V0lta's Oneros as well as more webs as well. So they're looking to get that Hugin and Oneros off the field as soon as possible. And the Hugin dipping down into very low shield here.
Yeah, I think these jams might have been successful on the Hugin. I don't see the Hugin getting... Okay, never mind. The Hugin might have been able to get a lockout here. No, I think Mystical Might is actually jammed in his Hugin. He was not able to get the Oneros, but a Band Apart's Oneros is still going down regardless. Devlin Shardo is about to eat it right now. With all this drone spam coming out from the V0lta side, it's not long for this world at all, and it looks like the Hugin will be the secondary target.
Yeah, V0lta now, really chewing through the Oneros, dipping down very low structure at this. But sadly, Band Apart not managing to chew through the Hugin or Oneros. It looks like the Hugin, the Oneros from Devlin is just going to hold on. Very low armor indeed. They're switching over now what looks like to be onto the Vexor. The Vexor is webbed for a Band Apart, but V0lta's Oneros now taking damage, heading into structure. I don't know which of these is going to die first.
A Starfleet Commander does. He's the first one to go down. A Band Apart with the upset, taking the Logi trade first. And look, the Band Apart Oneros, as you mentioned, got out of the range of the drones and, just broke off all the things. And with all of the jams from the Band Apart side, V0lta couldn't get the drone swarm back onto the Band Apart Oneros.
No, absolutely not. And we do see the Malediction here from TikTok is chasing down the Oneros, trying to keep him scrammed and just keep him on field. The Myrmidon from Don Jose also taking a lot of damage here. And to be honest, this Band Apart here is still really struggling to break that Hugin.
Yeah, but you look at the control on the side of the Band Apart. All their Blackbirds are applying to all these drone boats. And Mystical Might in the Hugin finally goes down, though they did lose Don Jose, Myrmidon of their own. But, those are the links. These Blackbird jams are going to be a little bit weaker now, unless this Eos is going to be able to get in range and boost those up. Really, I would bet everything that a Band Apart skewed heavily for Galente in their Blackbird jams. So really heads up call from them. And it looks like the Band Apart are now whittling down any Guard's Ishtar right now.
Yeah, and a Band Apart really in a commanding position right now. You can see from the UI at the bottom how many jams are being applied to so many different ships right now. We do see the Ishtar full from Anigardet just there. If Band Apart can keep their Blackbirds alive at this point and their Oneros, they are going to have a very easy time finishing up this game, I think. But as we see, the Blackbirds now dipping into low armor, both of them having taken some significant damage. Orman, he's popped.
Yeah, Devlin in the Oneros could not get any reps on from Orman DeMarco. The Blackbirds were so spread apart from the Oneros, who was still reeling a little bit from that early onslaught that left him almost dead, that he was not able to get any reps off, and in his flight to come back has now been tackled by this Pontifex. Devlin survived for so long, beat the entire V0lta side, only to come in back now, and the Oneros is separated from the Hugin, so it looks like both are going to go down right now. Really great piloting by V0lta, being able to just single out this Oneros pilot. He just got jammed, it looks like, but it's going to be just enough as this Hugin goes down for the Abandoned Part side.
Yeah, it's just blow after blow, trade after trade for these guys. Equal number of ships for both sides. It's really going to come down to the individual pilot skill right now. We do see Warp Scramble on the Oneros and a Web. So Devlin here going to be taking a lot of damage. He needs to try and get away from that malediction and stop all the damage incoming to him.
Yeah, but it looks like a Vexer of Prita is now hard tackled right now. This Oneros belonging to Devlin keeps getting a scram passed on it, so it can't MJD again. It did MJD earlier in the match, and it is sitting on an MJD beacon right now, but TikTok Tizik is sitting there in his malediction, ready to put a spot scram on him should he activate that MJD again. So, Devlin just stuck out here in no man's land, not able to rep any of his friends right now. He might as well be dead. And the V0lta side is coming back at it, trying to take down a Blackbird just to get that off, and is going to possibly get the captain, Jose Zampano, down in the Ishtar.
Yeah, the Blackbird from Andy right now sitting at 0 speed. These two Ishtars basically been sat on by the Pontifex, but they do manage to take down the Pontifex. That will allow them to get some breathing room and start choosing some other targets here. The Blackbird now receiving some armor reps just to top it up right now from the Oneros, but we still see the jams in full effect of the two Vex and Navy issues and the Malediction all suffering from these Blackbird jams.
Yep, Devlin Shardo in the Oneros after that Pontifex went down, and after the malediction of TikTok Tizik got jammed, was actually able to activate the MJD beacon. He is now next to his friends. All of the Abandoned Part side are kind of circling around these MJD beacons. So TikTok Tizik needs to be on point here. He needs to be able to scram the primary for the Abandoned Part side. And I really, V0lta really need to get this Blackbird down because it is just a nuisance.
Yeah, they definitely do. I mean, Abandoned Part at this point, they have the extra points on their side. We do see an MJD there from the Oneros trying to get away from that malediction, but TikTok straight back on him, trying to burn in for him. And he is being a complete pest to him at this point. Neuron from V0lta in the Myrmidon, starting to take some damage, falling into low armor again. It's really going to depend on these last few trades, I think. The Ishtar is scrammed from Jose, and I don't know who's going to die first here. Will it be the Ishtar for Abandoned Part, or will it be V0lta's Myrmidon?
Yep, so the Oneros of Devlin did MJD again just to get reps back onto Jose Zampano. Really heads up play there, trying to get in position, but the Oneros is now hard tackled again by TikTok Tizik. So just going to have to hold him there and hope the reps that are in fall-off right now aren't enough to keep Jose Zampano alive. It's going to be absolutely devastating for the V0lta team if this Ishtar stays alive, and it looks like he is going to. V0lta now have to focus on this Oneros and get him down. They can't just hope to keep him secluded from his team.
Fantastic jump there from Jose, getting towards the top of the arena next to the Blackbird and also fairly close to the Ishtar. We do see Neuron in the Myrmidon. He is still trying to stay alive at this point, but is getting pressured by these drones and also is slightly being chased by Sebastian in the Ishtar. This game is just getting so close, it seems.
Yep, Neuron is burning for tournament micro jump unit as well. It looks like both of these teams are sitting next to MJD units, and Devlin finally goes down. So the Logi is finally dealt with after almost 8 minutes of this match. 7.5 minutes for Elijah to stay alive. You best figure out that that's a really good position. And we're going to look at Neuron here as he tries to MJD, but it's just going to be a little bit too little, too late as the drones from the Abandoned Part side finish him off as he activated the tournament MJD beacon. Oh my goodness. And Intigo and the Vexer Navy issue also going down.
Oh.
Abandoned Part, they lost their Logi, but you know what? This Blackbird is keeping them in it. These twin Ishtars now have the DPS advantage over the Myrmidon and Vexer Navy issue.
Yeah, this game, I mean, there are some real MVPs here from both sides, but those Blackbirds really did help, and V0lta, unfortunately, not being able to kill both of them is really biting them in the ass right now. We do see more and more drone pressure right now onto TikTok in the malediction. He's trying to run as fast as he can. Looks like it is actually being chased by Berserker 2s, and they are going to have a hell of a time catching up, but they are now going to swap onto Thurvia, if I pronounce that correctly, in the VNI. So he's going to be taking an immense amount of incoming DPS from those heavy drones. And a second set looks like it's just landing of another flight of Berserker 2s. That's a lot of heavy drones here, Elise.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? V0lta now have their backs against the wall here. Even if they do manage to kill one Ishtar, they're going to have to kill a second one as well for the points. So, I mean, I think this is a band apart victory right here, right now. As Thuvia just MJDs away from harm's way, it doesn't really matter. He's not going to die, but V0lta aren't going to be able to kill enough in this minute that's left.
Yeah, I mean, the drone travel time for heavies is going to be horrendous. It looks like they have actually swapped them onto the malediction right now, hoping that they can get a few hits in. The malediction from TikTok falling into very low armor, hitting structure now, and Thurvia in a very similar situation. I think at this point it's basically cleanup time, and the Blackbird's still continuing to put jams on anything it can just to make it that extra bit painful.
Yeah, we do see jam effects on our fancy UI here, but we don't see them jamming drones. I have a feeling this Blackbird has been trying to jam drones, which is why the DPS on the V0lta side has been so anemic for the last 4 or 5 minutes of this match. And with 30 seconds remaining, there is no way V0lta get this unless the Ishtars both boundary violate on the band apart side. So that is V0lta, another tournament winning team, going down to the losers bracket to face Pandemic Legion and Hydra, who are also there. My goodness, a band apart, really sticking it out here. I think they were a little bit of the underdog here, but they're proving time and time again that they are not to be trifled with. A band apart win with great piloting skill, 80-54. And for Nicole and I, we're going to send it back to Apothony and the boys in the studio.
Play Steve.
Play Steve.
Easy.
Steve.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is truly possibly the best AT in a very long while, at the least. There were 5 teams that coming into this tournament that we expected to make the top 4 and then kind of switch out anyone with the other. That was Tuskers, that was PL, that was Hydra, that was V0lta, that was Exodus. Of those 5, by the end of the second weekend, not even the third weekend, 3 of them are in the losers bracket. That's PL, that's Hydra, and now V0lta at the hands of ABA. These mid-tier teams have coming up, they've been practicing hard, they've really committed to the AT, and they are putting the old guard on watch. Tuskers, admittedly, is somewhat of a newish team. V0lta might be considered a newish team, even though they are kind of the old Verge of Collapse team that did win, I believe it was AT10 that they won. But yeah, like everyone, no matter how good you are, you have to be watching your backs in this tournament. It is so insane. And that match as well, that match can go down in the AT as just absolute classic. That is a fantastic match. We want to break it down for you here. We've got, for example, at the very beginning of the match, the Neros pilot from the ABA side. He is being absolutely demolished here by drones. He's down in the bottom of his armor. If you can press play on it there, you know, he's surrounded by that killer drone swarm that we've seen nuke so many Logi ships before. At the beginning of the match, he's going into armor, dropping down, but he's burning at that MJD unit. He's burning through structure, down to the bottom of his structure, and you can just see the last critical chunks of damage going onto that Aneros, down into the bottom of the red, maybe just a few points left, and at that very final second, he jumps to the other side of the arena. The drones leave him behind with the tiniest sliver of health, and then as we all saw, he goes on to perform almost the entire rest of the match, only dying at the very, very end when he's tackled and neuted. There were other clutch jumps there. There was some Ishtar jumps as well going on, which were beautiful at the last moment. ABA piloting, some of the piloting we've never even seen before in the AT. It was just so good, so clutch, just the perfect timing, possibly even leaving it dangerously late even. Suetonia, were there any other points in that match that you found, you know, specific piloting that was just absolutely brilliant, or even on the decision-making level.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching TikTok Toxic in the Malediction. We saw Exodus bring the Malediction against Rogue Compel too, and it was so clutch in that game, stopping the other enemy drone ships from using the MJD to get away and force those drones to spend another 100 kilometers traveling. And TikTok was really clutch in this match, going in, scramming the Hugin, scramming these ships so they can't use those micro-jump beacons to get away. He also done a great job. You noticed the Aneros was away from Ishtars at one point, able to scram that Aneros to make the reps less effective, although the Ishtar that was getting reps did actually manage to escape.
Yeah. So, Jintam, what about yourself? Any decision-making, any piloting that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, I was really fascinated by the way ABBA and specifically Andy von Aetheron was able to use their Blackbird in this thing. We typically see these kind of ECM ships being so poor against drone comps here, but they were able to absolutely brutalize TikTok in the Malediction, being able to jam him at very critical moments and keep their ships alive by
That
just
was towards the end of the match,
interrupting.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
He knew that the only thing stopping their ships from surviving, especially after the Neros was down, was their ability to use that MJD. So if the Malediction comes along, grabs them, scrams them, no more MJDs, which is why the Blackbirds, you think, oh, jam DPS, it's a DPS. No, jam the Malediction.
Yeah, and their positioning was so key. They were always able to stay as far as possible away from the primary target. It was fascinating to watch. This whole sub-game going on behind the DPS that was going over.
You know, even tackling the Aneros away from the Ishtar as a burn away, so the Ishtar's forced to use the MJD, again coming out in the clutch, bottom of his armor. Like, again, this is a match that, you know, I certainly want to go home, finish my exam, then just make a video, just second by second decision making, where the pilotings are going, what's going on. Like, I want to do that for a lot of tournament games this year, but especially this one is going to be a fantastic one to watch. Still, we must ever turn onward, as there's the good games are just non-stop here at AT15. Like, I hope we're not getting all the awesome out of the way and leaving nothing for the Iceland crew, but hell, I am enjoying it regardless of what happens. This is already possibly my favorite AT thus far. Our next match coming up here in just 4 minutes. Wow, the day's going quickly. We have coming up Laserhawks going up against the Bright Side of Death. Now, Laserhawks, they've had a mad tournament run already. They beat Peisty Syndicate, a team we expected top 16 at the very least, and then they beat Templis Calcif, who I think we all remember beat Hydra. So Laserhawks, we should probably be talking about a lot more than we have. They've taken out 2 teams that aren't necessarily, again, in those top 5 big names, but they've beaten 2 teams who have shown to be strong this year. Doesn't matter how good you are in AT14, doesn't matter how good you are in AT13. If you are killing nerds and taking names this tournament, you know, Laserhawks are another one of those teams making a name for themselves, really coming out and beating a lot of teams here, especially teams that are already doing well this year. Going up against Bright Side of Death, who admittedly haven't had as high name kills, beating Castabouts and no handlebars, so, you know, a slightly easier path through the bracket there, but still potentially a fantastic games. Both teams going 2-0 so far. Jintam, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I think Laserhawks is going to probably take this one. They seem so very strong, and as we've said, these new teams just are bringing in new ideas. They're bringing in, you know, almost a new spirit to this tournament, and I expect to see that continue with them.
Yeah, we have the winner of the votes for V0lta versus ABA. That is V0lta Dark and Dark. V0lta Dark and Dark. Congratulations on your billion ISK. Let's quickly run through the bans for this match, as I'm very aware how close we are to it as I bring them up. Here we go. Laserhawks banning Eos Ishtar, Bright Side of Death banning Gila Snetlier. And before we go into that analysis, we do have a few minutes. So I want to do a little bit of something for some of the newer players here. We have 2 Ishtar kill mails from different matches coming up to just kind of compare and contrast. So they're both in very similar comps, armor comps, but we see big differences here. So we have this Exodus Ishtar, which is focused on speed, right? It's got an MWD and 3 drone comps. This allows your drones to go so fast, it mitigates the ability for your opponents to micro jump drive. It means that you can switch from target to target very quickly and get that headshot in, like swapping targets with turrets. Obviously an explosive hardener and a ton of damage in the lows. However, if we compare that to another Ishtar lost mail that we've seen, I believe this one coming from the Pandemic Legion match, I believe, if we can have the other one up. There we go. So it's Ishtar, only true drone damage mods, and extra tank here. It's got a reactive, but instead in the mids, 2 tracking disruptors. PL there expecting to see possibly a turret-based comp instead facing drones, so the tracking disruptors were almost entirely useless, and then a scram as well, which can be useful, but we actually have to go straight to the game now between Laserhawks and Bright Side of Death.